Good morning. How are we doing? Let's see. Uh, all right, here we go. All the housekeeping things. Let's see. Is my microphone? My microphone's a little low, isn't it? I tell you what. Will there ever be a day where I don't have to adjust my microphone? Maybe, maybe not. I kind of like it not to be in frame, which means it has to be a little further away. Uh-oh. Did OBS really disconnect? OBS is reconnected. What's it say? What? Yeah, it looks like I've got a strong connection. I wonder if it's... Should I turn that off? Probably should turn my VPN off. Live stream. Hey, what's up, Artwork Studio? How are you? No worries, man. No worries. Sounds like it's time for a new phone, huh? Battery dying? Or I guess it's end of the day for you, isn't it? So it makes sense for your phone to be on its last leg. But yeah, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping. Actually, let's put the chat up like we did yesterday. Here we go. My connection to YouTube looks like maybe it was spotty for a second there, so apologies if Hello, Ducky Dev. Yes, I am still Stevening. That's funny. Yes, I am still Stevening. Hopefully you are. Hopefully you are still Ducky Deving. Oh, you forgot to charge it? Yeah, that's the worst. Actually, it's funny you say that. So when I woke up this morning, all my electronics were dead. My phone was dead. My watch was dead, my AirPods were dead, and the reason for that is because I mentioned at the beginning of this week we've been moving, and so normally I have this like big old like master charging station that's on my nightstand next to my bed, but that is still in a box at the moment. So so yeah, that's the worst feeling because it kind of when you wake up or you forget to charge your stuff, it's almost like you sort of feel like you started the day behind, right? Um, First world problems, right? These are modern day issues. They're issues, but they're not really issues. You know what I mean? You're still ducky sleeping. Nice. Took a long nap. Wow, 5 hour nap. I don't know if I'd call that a nap. That's more like you went to sleep. Yeah, it definitely sounds like you went. It definitely sounds like you went to bed and now you're back up. I'm not a big nap guy. I'll be honest with you. Naps make me cranky. Like I almost always wake up from a nap um, feeling cranky. My wife loves to nap. She loves to sleep just in general. Like she thinks sleep is like I think sleep is the most boring activity on earth, and she finds sleep to be the most enjoyable activity. uh, our work studios. I'm half dead, deadlocked. What do you mean deadlocked? What's that mean? I'm doing tuition right now, a 15-minute break. What do you mean you're doing tuition? Tuition to me means like you're paying your school. You're paying your school bill. Is that what it means for you? Excuse me. I don't mean to burp into the mic. Sometimes it happens. For you, it's like extra school. Who needs extra school? Oh, nice. Like, or in the United States, we call that study hall. I don't remember Ducky Dev. Are you in the U.S.? But yeah, in the U.S., we typically refer to stuff like that as study hall. Are you supposed to eat rosemary? I don't think so, but I don't think it'll hurt you to eat it. Sorry, 123. So what are you working on? Oh, so sorry if you're new here. During office hour streams, I'm like at work. I'm not working on my own stuff. So I won't actually probably like share my screen or like share like actually what I can share like the generals but just not the specific. Like today, the first thing I'm working on today is getting a branch merged into another branch. Um and then doing some admin tasks. I usually try to save my admin work for office hour streams like emails, Slacks, that sort of stuff. So nothing, no coding during office hour streams. We can talk about coding, we can talk about tech, you know. We can opine on these things, but I won't actually like share my screen. I felt like office hour streams are important because it's a way to just dedicate time to interacting with you all for that purpose, for the purpose of like having a conversation, chatting, answering questions, just sharing my thoughts about things, which some people seem to enjoy these streams. So as long as those some people seem to enjoy them, I'll keep doing them. If people tell me like that it's a waste of time, then yeah, obviously I'll stop. But for the moment, people seem to like it. Artwork Studios. Yeah, I love Office Hours. Oh, nice. Very cool. Well, that's good. I'm glad some people enjoy it. Ducky, don't get burnt out, man. Yeah, don't burn yourself out. Oh, if I say I have tuition at night, what I'm saying is that I have tutoring session at night. Ah, cool. Well, now I know. Sorry. So which language should I learn first? I'm new to coding. Um, I usually direct everybody to start with JavaScript. And the reason I tell people to start with JavaScript is primarily because if you learn JavaScript, you can basically build just about anything you'd want to build, right? Because JavaScript gives you access to the APIs in the browser on the client side, so you can build rich, interactive user interfaces. And then JavaScript also runs on the server with the help of things like Node or Bun or Deno, whichever runtime you want to use. Um, and so that means then with one language, you can build both rich clients and powerful backends and put them together, right? You can also build CLI tools with JavaScript. And so I always tell people, hey, go learn JavaScript first. And then that pretty much means once you learn JavaScript, you can pretty much do just about anything you'd want to do. And then once you know one programming language, this is just kind of a general statement. Once you know one programming language, it's very easy to learn any other programming language for the most part. So then if JavaScript gets you interested and like you enjoyed that process, well then if you're interested in static typing, it's very easy to pick up TypeScript, which is just a superset of JavaScript. And then if you want to go to a more, I don't know what the right way to what the right way to describe these things is, but if you want to go to more of a traditional, more of an enterprisey language, right? Then it's a very easy jump to learn C# or Java, or maybe you want to learn Go, right? So that's usually where I point people to, and I usually point people to freecodecamp.org to learn the JavaScript. That's usually where I point most people to, and I just put the link in the chat there. But I think they do a really good job at it. Looks like Artwork Studio agrees with me. Looks like Ducky Dev agrees. Yeah, I don't. Ducky Dev also mentioned Python. I don't think there's anything wrong with Python. Again, it's just I always lean towards JavaScript because that gives you immediate access to the APIs in the browser, right? Which means you can immediately start shipping code to a platform that other people can use what you built. Even you can use what you built without really needing any kind of permission, right? Versus if you start doing mobile development or things of that nature, you're going to have to go through like approvals and stuff to get your things approved to go into the app store so people can use them. Whereas the web is just open, you know. Ducky Dev workaholic. Well, I mean, it's good to be there's nothing wrong with being a workaholic. You just have to balance it. You just have to make sure the dosage is not to the point where you don't ever want to do that work anymore. Ducky Dev, anything that can be built with JavaScript will be built with, yeah, that's very true. People shit on JavaScript all the time. And yes, is it kind of a quirky language? For sure. But I mean, with that one language, you're pretty much set. Like you can for the vast majority of things you want to build, JavaScript will carry you most of the way there, right? Like, yeah, I mean, if you're not developing services that are going to serve millions and millions of people, like you can probably get away with writing it in JavaScript. Static typing makes your life so much easier. Yeah, and I think that's why invariably after somebody learns JavaScript, I would be like, okay, now you probably want to take a look at TypeScript, because while static typing, hey, Opie, stop that. Sorry, my dog. Every time I start streaming, my dog starts licking himself. Hey, stop. What was I saying? Oh, I was saying static typing. So while static typing has benefits outside of this, I feel like the biggest benefit of static typing is makes your developer experience better, right? It makes the tooling experience better. You can do all kinds of crazy cool refactorings, and you get immediate feedback, without having to really like run your code, so to speak, when you've changed things. So I agree with that. I suffer with TS. Working with JS is so much. Yeah, I mean, there are things about TypeScript that are not as, I guess, malleable as JavaScript. But the thing is, when you're writing TypeScript, you're really just writing JavaScript. So if you ever just want to escape the static typing world, you just slap any on everything, and you're off to the races. I remember I used to have Dino. Yeah, I don't have Dino or Bun installed on the machine I'm on right now, but I've used both. Um, I think the problem with those runtimes is just they're gonna face the steep curve of adoption, right? The problem is that there's so much momentum behind Node, and there's so many things using Node as the runtime, that to get people to migrate off of Node to something else, right, is just a lift, right? It's gonna have a long, long tail to it. And so what I think is gonna end up happening is Dino and Bun are gonna sort of be like the they're going to be like the places where innovation happens, and then Node is just slowly going to start sucking in those innovations into their runtime, right? You saw that with like the TypeScript support that came to Node, where you can strip out types. um, I think that's just going to continue to happen more and more. Can I make a program that just prints text and add display ASCII with computer science on my resume? Yes, you can do that. I mean, you can always make things. That's that's one of the beauties of human language, right? Is you can always make things sound so much more grandiose and wonderful and meaningful than they really are. That's also why I think resumes are oftentimes a bad. Like, I know the world has kind of standardized around resumes as a way to like evaluate and vet people, but I think it's a bad system. Because people can put all kinds of crazy stuff on their resume and game the HR systems and the the keyword game, and yeah, not a good thing. All Node programmers know the depth of Node modules. Yeah, everyone says. I mean, that is. I mean, but that's like, right. You're dealing with a non-compiled language, right? It's an interpreted language. So by definition, in order to share code, you have to share the actual source code, right? You can't share the compiled code. You have to share the actual source code. So by default, like, you know, the dependencies you bring down when you're working in those languages are going to be heavy, just by the nature of the thing. I mean, I think that's why when people are always so people who go from the JavaScript ecosystem to the Go ecosystem are always so blown away by the Go ecosystem, because you can publish just a single file that contains all of the code you've written, and works all you just using a single file. Um, yeah, that's pretty awesome. But other languages have that ability, right? It's just JavaScript doesn't, because it's interpreted language. Hello, Ninja. Be careful with all the spam, and Nightbot might swat you. Um, because for whatever reason, Nightbot does not respond to commands anymore during my streams, and he doesn't. The timers that I have set up for Nightbot to post in my streams, they don't post. But for whatever reason, Nightbot still will swap people for like repetitive messages and spam. So I haven't quite figured out what the deal is there with Nightbot. Why he's fallen down on half of his job. Although, to be honest, I haven't spent like an inordinate amount of time on trying to sort it out. Stuck's what, bro? Yeah, see, Stuck's like you'll post that, and what's interesting is if I go to the Nightbot dashboard, I can see that you sent that, and I can also see that Nightbot is online, right? But for whatever reason, and I for whatever reason, Nightbot is not listed as a participant in my chat, even though he says he's online on my dashboard. So it's a very. I'm wondering if I need to like delete my Nightbot account or something and like start all over. You know, just like clean slate, start again. I mean, when in doubt, right? When in doubt, you just restart it, you know? Have you tried restarting it? That's the classic way to troubleshoot something. Why didn't my comment go through with @Stephen Freeborn ban Ninja Boy? I don't know. Which is interesting because when you quoted it, it came through. It looks like Ninja Boy left. It looks like whatever his intentions were, he has left the building. But there for a minute, yeah, he was spamming us, wasn't he? Alright. Let's see. I'm gonna change target. Does anybody here use Azure DevOps versus like GitHub? Because I definitely prefer GitHub. Even though it's funny because Microsoft owns GitHub, right? But they maintain Azure DevOps and they maintain GitHub. And it just seems like they're maintaining two products that solve the same problem. Which now that I guess GitHub CEO has departed, maybe they sort of consolidate some of these offerings. Anise, I got rid of Ninja Boy. You don't have to worry about him now. That's super dark. Super, super dark. Wow, 12. You've gotten 2 hours of battery life at 12%. Yeah, I don't know. Those battery numbers, like the status battery ports on phones, are kind of weird. I don't think they're super accurate. And I think they get less and less accurate the older the phone gets. Although I will say that like my iPhone can be on like 2%, and if I turn the display basically almost all the brightness on the display almost all the way down, I can squeak like another hour or two out of the phone. So it's pretty wild how much energy the display on your phone causes the battery, or how much battery power is used just to power the display of your phone. I see this with my iPad too. My iPad's the same way. If I just turn the brightness down on my iPad to like 80%, it lasts twice as long. That's a super weird thing. I have a question for you guys. How many of you? Oh wait, it just dropped 11%. Yeah, it's because It's because it's like you basically, well, you basically pulled off one of those quantum scenarios where it was like it was either 12 or 11 until you looked at it or until you said something about it, and then when you said something about it, it changed to 11. I'm using an iPhone. I forgot 13 or 14, but yeah, it's good. It's a good thing, I think. Yeah, my iPhone is a four. No, let me see. I I mean, I don't think I'm the only one, but I think most people have stopped staying on the latest iPhone, or like if people used to update their iPhone every year, I feel like now it's like people update their iPhone every 3 or 4 years because there's just not enough significantly different from one generation to another. So mine is a 14, yeah. Mine's a 14. I think my wife's is a 13 at the moment. Schrodinger's phone. Yeah, Schrodinger's phone. I mean, I always wonder, like, I mean, it's just trippy when you think of the world that way, you know? It's like, is is that thing a thing if I never had went and talked about the thing or looked at the thing, you know? Kind of a weird way to live your life. Evren Saqib. I think I said your name. I'm not 100% confident I said it correctly. All right, well, remember how I said that one of the tasks I needed to do today was to merge one branch into another? My PR just got approved, so there we go. Close enough. Well, I appreciate it, Everin. I'm sorry that if I did mispronounce it. My name is spelled funny, so I'm very sensitive to people. Like, I'm not sensitive about it. Like, if people mispronounce my name, I don't get upset. But I'm sensitive to trying to pronounce people's names correctly. So if I mispronounce your name, please know it's not for lack of care or lack of effort. It's just I'm American and we suck at other languages, which is a shitty excuse, but it's just the truth. Why is the comment frame on your stream delayed? I think the comments are just delayed in general if you're sourcing the comments from somewhere other than YouTube. So, like obviously like you make a comment on YouTube, right? And then whatever program is displaying or fetching those comments has to do it on some sort of a poll, like a recurring poll. So there's going to be some delay. And in this case, what's happening is I think the thing up here that you see is hosted on a website called Stream Elements, and then OBS is fetching that element from their site. So OBS is getting the thing that you see, and then the thing that you see is pulling YouTube. So there's going to be at least some network delay, and then I'm guessing this is pulled on some sort of timer on Stream Elements sites, so it's behind. And the same thing with OBS. Like I'm reading your chat in OBS right now, and it's always behind a little bit. So it just is what it is. Stux. I mean, delayed as you say the comment, but isn't even showed up in the comment frame. Yeah, I think that's because obviously OBS must be pulling the chat in faster than Stream Elements does, more than likely. And right now there's few enough people chatting in my stream that like I can stay up with it. There are times though when I'll fall behind in the chat, and then it's not so bad. All right. That sound that you just heard, which I should probably mute that because that could be annoying. That sound was the sound of my PR being completed. It was a Slack notification, but still all the same. To be honest, Steven, it's fun to hear you how you pronounce things. Yeah. I mean, I feel so privileged to be American because talking with all of you, it's very clear that it's not really optional if you live in another, well, it seems not really optional if you live in another country, that you're sort of forced to learn both your native language as well as some amount of English. Like and I might be wrong, maybe I'm getting the wrong impression, but it seems like that's the case. And as somebody who's been born and lived in the US and spent most of their life in the US, very little time traveling abroad, it seems like we're very privileged here in the US where we can get away with just having to learn a single language. Stux, ever worked with spline design? No, I've never heard of that. What is that? Educate me, Stux. You could just put another camera facing chat and make the top display that camera display, but it's not too beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, I would hope that at some point chat becomes active enough that like no one really gives a shit too much that there's like a real-time delay. Maybe one of these days when I actually have some more subs. Man, I need a haircut, don't I? I'm trying to hold off. I'm going to a conference the first week in October. And so no, second week in October? Yeah, second week in October. And so I'm trying to hold off and get a haircut as close to that as I can. It's a conference for work, and so I want to make sure I look as best as I can. It's a website to create stunning 3D designs and animations for websites. Oh, very cool. So splines, did you just say splines.design? Let's see. Oh, very cool. Okay, so am I assuming that you like visually design it here, and then you get code or something to convert it to an actual animation in like an app? Let's see. I've never used it, but I'm gonna sign up. Steven, you have like 1K subs. Oh wait, that's 3K. Well, I don't mean, you know what I mean. Like I have 3K subs, but like when I stream, I only have, 10 people or so, so chat. But maybe one of these days when the streams get a little bit more popular, we have more people in chat, then the delay's not as noticeable. That's a big number. Yeah, I still can't believe that 3,000 people have subbed to my YouTube channel. When I started making more like programming or tech related content in January of this year, I had 20, I think I had 23 or 24 subs. Um, and I'm still waiting for the day that I like wake up and YouTube's like, haha, just kidding. You only have 24 subs again. Which is totally fine. Like, oh wow, this is a really cool website, Stux. This is here, guys. I'm gonna share. This is the site that Stux is talking about. Maybe you guys already know about this. I didn't know about this. It looks really well done. Um, it looks like they have a free tier. So spline.design. Looks like you can just sign up with SSO if you want. So I'm guessing, so some of these animations are way beyond anything I could code myself. So, okay, so the question is, once you get one of these, how do you then figure out how to implement it? Oh, is this just, so Stux, correct me, is this useful for programming? Like, can you mock things up here visually and then get code from it? Or is this purely just for people? So it almost looks like Figma, huh? The UI looks very much like Figma. Huh. Yeah, I was just basically... Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, so once you're into design... I'm sorry, guys. I would share my screen. I just don't have my stuff set up to do that right now. But you can export it. Yeah, so you can do a code export, and they have like different options. You can export it as Next.js, React 3 Fiber, React 3.js. You can use Vanilla.js, which basically loads the design from your Spline account onto a canvas. That's very cool. I'm going to use this, man. There's definitely been times where I've wanted to make a website look, you know, better, but I don't quite have the animation skills quite yet. So, thank you for sharing, man. That's been one of the best things about streaming, because I had never really done streaming as a part of my content creation before, but one of the best parts about streaming has been interacting with you guys and you guys sharing things with me that I have no awareness of, which has been really cool. I'll always be one of that 24 subs, Steven. Well, I appreciate that, man. That's super kind. Gunhaziz. Hello, Gun. How are you? Good day to you and everyone here. God bless the programming. Yeah. Yeah, just God bless in general, man, you know? We woke up today, we're alive. There's so many people who would wish to be in our shoes, you know what I mean? Read my comment before the link you sent. Oh, okay. Yep, I see. 11 p.m. for you, Artwork Studios. You need to wrap it up and go to bed, get some sleep. You lost 2 kilograms. What is that? 4 pounds? That's awesome, man. Congratulations. I'm assuming that's you're trying to lose weight too. Is what I'm assuming. So that's fantastic. Congratulations. I will say losing weight's probably one of the hardest things to do. I mean, next to like quitting smoking, it's a very difficult, it requires very difficult, like fundamental behavior changes. So Kudos. Does anybody else hate that when websites don't have dark mode? I feel like everyone should have dark mode these days. Although if you go to my website, if you go to if you go to my main website, stephenfreeborn.com, it does not have dark mode. So this is kind of like calling the kettle calling the pot black, right? Is that how that goes? Steven, you're basically like a mentor to me. Well, I don't know if I'm qualified to be anyone's mentor, but I'm always happy to share my thoughts on things, you know. I never, there's definitely content creators out there who are like experts, right? And so they're experts on a topic, and so that's kind of how they position their brand. Um, I just don't look at myself that way, and so I'm just trying to share. I'm much more just trying to share the things I know, the things I've learned, the things I'm learning, the problems or the struggles I've had. I never want to come across like I have the answers, like I have an answer. I don't know if it's the best answer or always necessarily the correct answer, but I appreciate that. Oops, all my sites don't have dark mode. Yeah. I mean, like I'll admit my primary website, which my primary website, my homepage, stephenfreeborn.com, it's a single it's a single index file, a single CSS file, and a single JS file. It's all vanilla. Um, I think it uses Bootstrap for some of the styling, so I do use Bootstrap. But uh, it's a very simple website, and it does not have dark mode. Although I don't think it would be very difficult to add it, especially now with the what is that property you can put CSS. It's like preferred color scheme. Yeah, preferred. You can do a media query against preferred color scheme. So basically, just if it's a single page app, right, you can basically just have a toggle button, and that toggle button will query the DOM, change that prefers color scheme attribute, and then just have a CSS media query that is reading dark versus light. Like I don't, yeah, maybe I'll try that. That might be fun to do on stream at some point. Add dark. I want to rewrite that website at some point, but that would probably be an interesting thing to do on stream. I hate when you select dark mode, but it isn't fully dark mode, so you get flashbanged. I get flashbanged just switching through tabs, you know? Like you're on a dark mode website and then you switch to another tab, it's white mode. Ah! I'm blind! Yeah, me too, Stux. I need to redo my website for sure. Gotta love Bootstrap. Bootstrap 5 is insanely good. Yeah, Bootstrap's awesome. I feel like people knock it, especially people who are enamored with Tailwind, you know? But, I mean, you can just get super, super far using... I mean, you basically stick a link tag, right, in your page, start applying some classes, and you can get really far with it. Especially if you use... There's a website out there that has like a bunch of Bootstrap themes. I forget the name of the website. Bootswatch, I think, is the one that I've used. It looks like Bootstrap sells its own themes, but there's a website out there called Bootswatch, I think is the way you'd say that. That has a bunch of free themes, and so you can get really far just using these, you know. Obviously, they all have that Bootstrap feel, you know, but all Tailwind styled websites have a Tailwind feel to them. So it's like, I don't really think that's a negative. in my opinion. At least in my opinion, I don't think it's a negative. Stux, what is SSO? I asked it before. Oh, sorry, Stux. I must have missed it. SSO stands for single sign-on origin. SSO. I can't remember what the O stands for. No, the O stands for stands for on. So single sign-on, and basically it's just the way. It's basically a common phrase people use to describe authentication flows that allow you to use one identity to sign into multiple applications. And you see it a lot. You see it a lot now, more on the consumer side, where like you go to a website and you can use Google to sign on, or you go to a website and you can use GitHub to sign on, right? So then theoretically, the idea being there that you can basically use your GitHub identity to authenticate to a bunch of different applications, right? And so it's much more prevalent, though. Single sign-on is definitely much more prevalent in an enterprise world where a company might have 100 different cloud applications or services that the company needs to use, but they don't. The IT team, right? The security teams don't want the users to be managing identities at each individual service or application. They want to just have one single managed identity provider like Azure Active Directory or Okta, or what's like there's a free self-hosting one out there. Um, uh, the name escapes me, but anywho, so they'll basically set up this integration that basically says, hey, you can use, if you want to sign into Figma, or if you want to sign into GitHub, we can send you over to Azure Active Directory first, authenticate over there, and then your identity provider can send a response back to the application that says, okay, yeah, this person's who they say they are, they're good, let them in. So it makes life easier for a lot of people. JG Redlock, does Goku solos you? Well, if I was to try to fight Goku, I would lose. Dude's a Super Saiyan. See ya, Artwork Studios. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Pablo, nice seeing you around. New place. Yeah, so hey, good to see you, Pablo. I mentioned this yesterday or the day before. We moved. That's why I've kind of gone MIA, Pablo, was because we moved. So last Tuesday, we got the keys to the new place. And basically it was a mad dash sprint to just get everything moved as soon as possible so we weren't living out of two different locations. But I'm here. Bye, Stux. Pablo, SSO for enterprise makes sense. As an enterprise feature, you should 100% charge for it. Yeah, 100%. I would say if you're going to build an application that sells into enterprises, you have to have SSO. I feel like you'd have a very difficult time selling a product these days into organizations that doesn't have single sign-on. And a lot of frameworks, if you're building an application, most frameworks that you're using to build an application have some pretty easily implementable solution to support single sign-on, because they know it, right? They know that like enterprises don't want to deal with their users having, if you have 100 employees and 100 applications and every employee has a separate identity for all those applications, that's, what is that, 10,000 separate identities, 10,000 different potentially compromisable accounts. Yeah. Not a good way to manage your attack surface there. My new office at our new place, the new office, or the space that I'm working on, I call it my office, but it's just a room that I've filled with my stuff. It's in the basement. And so the one bad thing about that is the espresso machine, when I want to make more coffee, is upstairs. So it's not. Maybe I need to move the espresso machine into the office. But then you have the whole issue of like water and cleanup and not getting coffee grounds everywhere. Pablo, we implemented it ourselves, but people always want additional stuff like RBAC or to auto assign to an org by domain name, all that. Yeah, or by domain name, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah. It largely has a lot to do, at least in my experience, Pablo. It largely has a lot to do that enterprises across enterprises, the way they architect their identity solution is so different. So it's difficult to have an SSO or an integration like that that supports everyone's needs. Bad stuff. You are doing leg day every day. Well, when I was moving, it felt like I was doing leg day every day. My feet hurt so the first 2 days of moving, I think my Apple Watch said I had walked something like 20 miles almost across. I think the first day it was like 8 or 10 miles in that day, and then the next day it was close to 8 or 10 again. My feet hurt so bad. Turkey. I like your username. It's fun to say. Thoughts on eventually there being a no AI badge for media content like articles and videos, etc. I don't know if there's going to be a... I don't know about a badge. I do think... Like, I don't know if there's, like, going to be some sort of, like, universal badge. I think definitely, like, if you go on Gemini and you try to generate an image there, you can already see, like, Gemini watermarks there, or puts a mark on there that says it's AI generated or indicates it was AI generated. I think what we're gonna see, and I mentioned this, so WebDev Cody had a live stream a month or two ago, maybe more than that, and I was listening to him talk about some of this stuff. And I left a comment in his stream and basically said, you know, he didn't agree with me, but I believe that what you're gonna see happen is you're gonna have some. I'm guessing some of you guys heard about that site that was vibe coded, and it was like a site for women to basically provide information about men they had dated. Like basically is like, hey, watch out for this guy. Here's some red flags or something. I forgot the name of the website, but I can't remember if the website was vibe coded or not vibe coded. In any event, it had like a big vulnerability, and so a bunch of people's information got leaked. I think what you're going to have happen is you're going to have people who are using AI tools to write software or to create images or write blog content. What Pablo just said, yeah. And I can't remember if AI was involved in that or not, but I'm trying to use that example as illustrative of you're going to have people using AI to create stuff, to make things. Inevitably, there's going to be events like what happened with T, good or bad events, in which case then people are going to say, oh, it's because, you know, they used AI, right? They used generative AI, they used LLMs. They used the lying robots to do that. In which case there will be a reactionary human response in which a bunch of people will start marketing their thing, their content, their images, their code, their software. They will start marketing it as handcrafted, right? You see this already in other industries, right? You see this in woodworking, in furniture, in handbags, in just about anything, where there's so much automation and industrialization of so many processes and things that are made that use machines, that use some form of, I don't know, you don't have to call it artificial intelligence, but it's not human labor, it's not human hands. And so and the reaction in those markets is it creates this like very artisanal sort of bespoke sector of things where like, oh, this is handcrafted, this is handmade. I think you're going to see the same thing happen in software, uh, both from a both from a consultancy and from an agency perspective, and also from like a service provider perspective, where people will start touting like 100% human coded or 100% handcrafted, you know, and they will actually use that as a differentiating point where they'll say, you know, we are completely built by humans type of thing, right? It's just how marketing works. It's how business works, right? There's always a reactionary force to these things, which I think will be super, super interesting. You know, I can totally see somebody having an entire dev agency that's we build artisanal software, no AI slop, and there'll be a place in the market for both things, like always. Their issue was that the Firestore DB was public, regardless of being vibe coded. Oof. Yeah, that's too bad. My, excuse me, turkey. My concern is we eventually create a future where AI is trained on AI generated content, thus creating almost a garbage internet. Yeah, well, I don't know. I think this is already sort of happening though, because I think some of the LLM, like the builders of the LLMs, some of these companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, I think some of them are already using synthetic data or AI generated data to train on. So, yeah, I mean, I just think I think turkey. I think what your concern is I think that's a real scenario that is going to play out. But I think there's also an equally real scenario where people are going to go out of their way to create content and create spaces that are human curated, that were verifiably, you know, human generated, human, you know what I mean? It's the same reason why I don't believe the NFL is ever going to be replaced by a bunch of robots playing football, right? Humans want to watch other humans do cool things, right? It's more relatable, it's more interesting. Um, like I know China, I think in China or South Korea or some one of the Asian countries recently, or in the Asian parts of the world, they hosted like a robot Olympics, and I think that's interesting and there's novelty there, but I still don't like. You're not going to replace the Olympics with a robot Olympics. It's just not going to happen, right? So you're not going to replace all of the internet with AI generated websites. Like people inherently want to interact with other humans and interact with other things made by humans. If anything, it will push the premium for those things up, right? So you'll be able to charge more for things that are verifiably human. Not Aiden, I think is how you say that. Adnan? I don't know. I'm going to say maybe Adnan? I don't know. I don't know how to say your username. This is fake. Hello, I use AI. AI has more problems. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to get at. Um, but yeah, AI does have problems. It does. AI has a lot of benefits, right? It's not nothing is all good and nothing is all good or all bad. There's somewhere in the middle. Ducky Dev, for my project, I had to make a custom DB for the analytics for requests because most DBs didn't need my use case. Oh, interesting. That sounds though like a little bit of an overkill. There's got to be some database out there that would support your use case, you know? You had a use case that you had to invent your own database or implement your own database. That seems excessive. I don't think I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't think I can implement my own database, or at least not a good implementation. All right, people. Well, we hit an hour, so I think I'm going to drop off here and go make some more coffee. But I will be back this afternoon. I'm going to try to this afternoon when I stream. I think I'm going to try to finish the Discord bot thing that we've been working on the last couple days. I have an implementation. I had a couple bugs from yesterday's stream. Like I completely screwed up the exponential back off implementation. I completely screwed that up. But I worked that out last night, and so now I just need to, I think, open a PR, merge it in, and deploy it. So that's what we're gonna start the stream this afternoon doing. And then I don't know, maybe we'll try to implement dark mode on my simple. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't do that because I haven't actually looked at the code for my website in a while. So yeah, I don't know. We'll find something to do this afternoon. So if you're around, that should be around 2 p.m. Hold on, let me make sure I don't have a meeting. Oh, that will probably be around 3 p.m. Central Standards when I'll be live again this afternoon. So if you're around and you see me live, please stop in and say hi. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. If it's already Friday for you, have a great rest of your Thursday. Pablo, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in, saying hi. Appreciate it. And Ducky Dev, have a good day. Not Aiden, see you, man. Turkey, thanks for the questions. Very good conversation. Appreciate you. Stuck's already left. Okay. Yeah, anybody else here? I'll see you guys. Bye, y'all. Have a good day.